Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. Slightly different angle, although I'm moving. I switched tripods. I got one that kind of clips on. I'm hoping this will help keep my camera, my phone, a little more stable while I do these, which is not starting well because it was bouncing, but we'll see how this goes. As you know, I don't like it when my camera's crooked, and you get to see a little more of a family picture from 10 years ago. Anyway, and this one, which you can't see, is a Christmas picture of my kids 12 years ago. I don't know how long ago. Anyway, hello, welcome. This is my weekly wrap up. As you see this, I will be stuck in an all-day Girl Scout training. I'm not looking forward to this. I have said this before. I am not a meeting person. I don't have patience for meetings that are overly long or that don't need to be a meeting, or that aren't moderated well, I guess. I'm fine with meetings where there's an agenda. We do the agenda. Everyone's respectful of everybody's time. But those are few and far between. But anyway, that's where I will be when you see this, if you see the day it drops. A couple things before we start in on books, because I don't actually have a lot to talk about as far as books today. First of all, a kind of a channel update. I mentioned this in my August TBR video, which is the one that came out on Thursday. I'm going to be on vacation for part of August, and I was really kind of fretting about getting videos ready to go up while I'm gone, and then I decided I'm not going to do that. There's going to be a week in August where there will be no videos. I am fine. I'm off having fun. Hopefully I'm having fun on vacation. Don't worry about it. And if you're wondering which week that is, I have decided to, on my community tab, I'm going to do kind of like best of old videos, like Monday through Friday. I will do like best videos from the past or something like that, so you can see old videos if you follow my community tag. There clearly will not be a weekly wrap up that week, but then I will be back the next week and everything will be fine. It's fine. Also, during that time, I will not be watching any videos from anyone else that are released during that time, but I may watch old videos that I have in my watch list that I'm far, far behind on. And I'm hoping to catch up on comments because I can do all that from my phone. So there's that. Now, less businessy thing, and I am warning you, there may be rabbit holes in this. I also mentioned in my August TBR video about the Hillary Clinton story. And people said, I want to hear the Hillary Clinton story and why Hillary Clinton recommended me books. So I have my feelings about Hillary Clinton. Like, I had some political issues with her, not really issue-wise, but more like how she presented herself. Although I was happy to vote for her in 2016 because those issues were completely moot. But then after the debacle of 2016, I'm still mad about that. Not nearly as mad as I'm about 2024, but she, like a lot of other people, started a podcast. And the thing about Hillary Clinton on a podcast is she is by far, without a doubt, the best podcast host I have ever heard. And this is not to put down podcast hosts of any other podcast I listen to. They're all great, but I mean, Hillary Clinton is a class by herself. And I'm including this compared to people whose job is to be a podcast host. Like, for example, one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to was Stuff You Missed in History Class, hosted by Tracy B. Wilson and Holly Fry. That's their job. They research and host podcasts. That is their profession. Holly Fry also does another one. They both will fill in for things, and they're great. But I'm saying Hillary Clinton is like even beyond that. She is fantastic as a podcast host. So she had this podcast, and it was amazing because it never felt like an interview, except when she interviewed Nancy Pelosi. But that's not because of Hillary Clinton. That is because Nancy Pelosi is always politically on. Anyway, I love this podcast. She would interview just everybody, and it just felt like it felt like sometimes when you listen to podcasts, they always do this thing like, oh, before we started online, we were chit-chatting. Like, it all felt like that before we started recording thing. They're just, it's just the most, you feel like you're sitting down at the table. She's fantastic at this. And I guess she's no longer doing her podcast, which is sad because it was such a fantastic podcast. But she had a podcast. Well, first of all, she had a podcast where she interviewed Hannah Gadsby, which I love this. And Hannah Gadsby, and they're called her Hilly Billy, which does actually tie into this. And it was at the end of that episode where she said for her season, because she would do seasons, her season finale, she was going to do like an Ask Me Anything tag. Now, the thing about Hillary Clinton is she is the one who finally convinced me to start Louise Penny books. Like, I love Louise Penny, and Hillary Clinton is the one that convinced me to start them. And if you don't know, Hillary Clinton and Louise Penny have written a book together. It's called State of Terror. I think it's mostly Louise Penny writing, but Hillary Clinton came up with a lot of the story sort of thing. Whatever, it's fantastic. It's different in a lot of ways from Three Pines. It's more thrillery. But anyway, so I'm like, I have a question for Hillary Clinton. So I wrote a letter. I said, "Dear Hilly Billy," because I don't know. I'm so mortified by that. Anyway, I said, thank you so much. I love that, it's because of you I started reading Louise Penny. Can you give me some more book recommendations? And she gave me 3 author recommendations. And also, I should say, on this episode where they read the letter, Kate McKinnon read the letter to her. I'll see if I can find a link to that podcast and put it down below if you want to hear it and hear my mortification at collaring a former First Lady and former Secretary of State, Hilly Billy. But that's a whole other embarrassing moment in my life. But anyway, the 3 she gave me were Charles Todd, who I have yet to read. He's definitely on my list. Sharon K. Penman, which is who I referenced in the August TBR video. I have a couple of 1 or 2 of her books. They're both really long. They're historical mysteries. I have them on my Kobo, which will be going with me on vacation. So there's a good chance I would be reading one of those, on vacation, because I'll have it with me. And Donna Leon, who I have been reading. I need to get back into reading hers because she's got she comes out with a book in her Commissario Brunetti series every year. And she's been writing for over 30 years. And I'm on book 7. So I need to get back into that. So yes, Hillary Clinton personally recommended to me Charles Todd, Sharon K. Penman, and Donna Leon. There's my Hillary Clinton story. And I didn't go down too many rabbit holes because I have so many rabbit holes I can go down when we get to that. But anyway, that's the Hillary Clinton story. Let's go for reading this week. I only finished 3 things this week. I shouldn't say I only finished 3 things. I finished 3 things this week. I have a couple buddy reads that we've kind of timed out. I have 3 actually, kind of timed out the buddy reads. So I finish them by the end of the month. So I will have a bigger books that are finished next week because they're just going to finish within that time. But this week is just kind of light. And the first book I finished, I'm not going to talk too much about because, I already have. There's a whole video about this book, Pericles by William Shakespeare. Okay, so there's that one. I'll link that down below. I don't have to go pick that book up now. The second book I finished, so last week, my last wrap up, I read Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn, and that was too dark for me. Gillian Flynn is on my list of authors I won't read anymore, not because she's bad. Look, there's nothing wrong with her writing. She's a great writer. And, the fact that I was so affected by her book is a testament to how good a writer she is. But she is not a writer for me. But I needed something, and I said this in that video, I needed something that I could trust. Because, I didn't want to, I needed that I could trust. It didn't have to be a happy book. It didn't have to be escapist or anything like that. It needed to be a book I could trust. So this is not the copy I read because I have 2 copies of this, one on my Kindle and one in my hand. I picked up Booktube's Erin Nichols, No Matter What. This is a story of unwavering devotion and the power of resilience. So this is her memoir about her life with her husband, Sam. They were high school sweethearts. They married kind of right shortly after high school. He became a Marine, and on his 3rd tour of duty, I think, in Iraq. Well, I don't know if not all of his tours of duty were in Iraq, but his 3rd tour of duty was in Iraq. He was injured in an IED incident and very traumatically. Had a TBI, a traumatic brain injury. It was a pretty serious injury. He also had physical injuries and all sorts of things. And that happened in 2007. I'm not going to give really a spoiler. This is not really a spoiler because if you know Erin, you know her story. Also, just reading the story really quickly, even really at the beginning, you kind of know what's going on with this. Sam was injured in 2007 and he passed away in 2020 of COVID, which is horrible, really early on in the pandemic. But from 2007 to 2020, he was in a nursing home. He was in and out of hospitals, like, and Erin spent her life. I mean, I shouldn't say that was her life at that point, but she also went to grad school during this time. And well, Erin is an amazing person. If you don't know who Erin is, that's Erin right there. And I will link her channel down below, of course. This book, and if you didn't know what an amazing person Erin was, then read this book, because is it the most poetically written book ever? No, that's fine. But it is Erin's voice. And I think because Erin and I have done buddy reads, we've been commenting on each other's videos, so we know each other through booktube. It was Erin's voice. So it was very authentic. The other thing is, and I've talked about this in other times when I've talked about other memoirs, that I have a real big pet peeve with memoirs. It doesn't happen with all memoirs, but it does frequently happen with memoirs, is that the memoirist, I keep using the term, they're the hero of their own story. And I don't think that's really that's the best term I can think of. But what I'm really trying to say is they have a bit of a blind spot to their own culpability in the situations that they're in. I'm not saying that everything they caused everything that happened, but they're perfect in theirs. They don't have that reflection to kind of look back and see, maybe I did something that probably wasn't the right, or maybe I did this and it affected, there isn't that thought. And that happens frequently, not all the time, but frequently in memoirs. And the reason I have to quit using the hero of their own storyline is because there is a podcast, I can't remember the name of it, but it's all about memoirists. And one of the episode issues was like, so-and-so writes a memoir being the hero of their own story. And I'm like, I have to listen to this. And it took me like 5 minutes to realize that the woman's memoir was like, she wrote a memoir in terms of herself as Disney princesses. And I was like, okay, we're done with that. We're done with that. Anyway, back to Erin. Erin does not fall into that trap at all. She is incredibly honest. You can tell she has done the work on herself. You can tell this is part of her healing. This book made me ugly cry, and honestly, if a book makes me ugly cry, it's gonna stick with me. And so, and yeah, I'll be honest, it could be because I know Erin. There's that personal connection, but doesn't change the fact that the reading, even though I knew this was gonna be sad, I also knew I could trust it, and it affected me so much reading this book. So no matter what, I will say, I believe you can only get this book through Amazon. So just FYI, but it is available both Kindle and print because I have both. And the final thing that I finished this week is, I think it's the last Kindle single. No, it's not. It's the last Kindle single that I had on my Kindle that I kind of am ready to read. I have another one. It's a Kindle single by Nita Prose, and it's in her The Maid series, which I have but have not read. So I'm not reading that until I read The Maid. So you know how that goes. But this was the last one that I had that I could read now. And that is a story by Margaret Atwood called Cut and Thirst. And I should say in this, I didn't actually own this. If you're an Amazon Prime member, and I know Amazon's evil. I know Amazon is evil. And my personal thing is, unless I have no other choice, I don't buy books from Amazon. That was my option here. So whatever. And obviously the Amazon Kindle singles, you have to get through there. But we do have Amazon Prime because my husband won't let me get rid of it. Oh, and also free shipping. That's why we have it. But my husband watches a lot of shows on Amazon Prime, and I've canceled Paramount Plus, and I can't take Amazon Prime away from him too right now. Yes. Anyway, if you have Amazon Prime, you have this thing called Prime Reading where you can kind of like borrow these books. I'm sure there are other books, but basically I just do the Kindle singles. You can borrow them from them, which is what I did with this. Anyway, Cut and Thirst. This is a story of a group of elderly-ish women who are trying to plan how to murder some men who treated a friend of theirs really badly in the past. And with Margaret Atwood, you never quite know what you're getting into. That's been sort of my experience, and that's not a bad thing, but it is. Like, I didn't know what to think of this book when I picked it up. I kind of knew the basic premise of it. This is a very funny book. It's a kind of a sweet, funny book. It took me like half an hour to read. It's a short story, but it's a single, so I'm counting it as a book. If you liked the Thursday Murder Club, the elderly lady is up to no good kind of books, this is for you. And it's just the women are all professors, and the friend of theirs who has been treated badly, she is in poor health. She had years past edited an anthology, and a male writer did not like the fact that he was not included in this, and so he sort of pre-internet, like if it had been on the internet, it would have been cyberbullying, but it was in print, her, and went after her, and he got some other male writers to go in against her, and that's what the women are trying to avenge. It was a good little read. I really enjoyed it. So if you're looking for just a quick sort of read and you have Amazon Prime, you can just check it out. Also, with these Amazon Kindle singles, there's always an Audible version of it as well, which you can get through Audible. I don't know if it's one you have to purchase or not, because I always just get the Kindle singles, but that is an option too. But anyway, that's what I finished this past week. I need to figure out something because I feel like I'm a little low in this, but we'll get that taken care of. Anyway, it's pretty short. As I said, next week's will probably be longer because I have books that I'm going to finish by the end of the month. So I'll see you then. I need to another thing really quick. Two other things. Well, one is tying into my dead week. I'm going to call it my dead week. That, I believe, is the week I would normally do my Shakespeare draw. However, for September. September is Shake-tember. So if you're doing the Bard Room with us, check out my Discord, because once the Shake-tember plays are announced, we will choose our next play out of the Shake-tember plays. I don't know what they are yet. So, and it will be out of the ones we haven't read yet. So if there's not going to be, if you want to know what the next Shake-tember play, or the next Bard Room play is, you're going to find out on the Discord before you find out on videos, because the video is not going to go up until later in the month. Finally, I meant to say this earlier. North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I am starting a buddy read with that. So far I have Christina, she's a commenter, who's going to be reading it with me. We're going to do it on Voxer, and we're going to start on August 1st. If you would like to join us, please let me know. You can either leave me a comment below with your Voxer name, or you can leave me a comment on Voxer. That's actually probably the best way, because then I have you in my contacts on Voxer. Just let me know you want to be included, and I will add you to the Voxer room. My Voxer name is mdonott. That's down below as well, and in the last slide. So it's all there. Anyway, I'm going to let y'all go now. I need to go make some lunch for myself because I've had a slow morning. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, subscribe, join my Discord. Thank you very much. Talk to you later.